If you love The Sims 3 but absolutely hate the lag, this video is for you. Salutations, dear friends, and welcome back to my series on Sims 3 lag and how to get your game to run better. If you missed the last video in this series, it was mod-free ways to fix lag in your game, and I will have that video linked in the cards and in the description. It's a good watch. Lots of things you can do without adding mods to make your game more stable and run better. So let's get into my secrets, because I've been around on YouTube for a long time. 5 years, almost 6 years in January. It's a long time to be making videos, making Sims content. And in all that time, with all my families and all the save files that I have only ever had one corrupt. And I think it was probably because it was a bad save. So let's just kind of like erase that and say that I've never ever lost a family. I've never ever really lost an important save file, so I must be doing something right. Now this secret of mine, the secret to how my game runs so fabulously, even though sometimes I have 20 to 30 Sims in a household, yes, I am that level of crazy. I've never heard of anyone else actually doing this or even talking about this. My secret is deep cleaning your game, and there are variations to this, like just reset your folder, just delete a couple of these files because they get bloated. I don't think anyone goes to like level 10 on cleaning their game because it's a little bit tedious and a lot of work, but for me, and I play a lot of Sims 3, I have to have a game that is gonna run, gonna load my 30 plus Sim families, and this has allowed me to do that. You might be wondering when/how often should I do a cleaning like this? For me, I have large families, I do a lot of mean things to my game, so I clean it every 4 to 6 months. If you aren't as hard on the game as I am, you might be able to get away with doing it yearly. How do you know when it's time? Well, when you do this so many times, you'll start getting inklings, your spidey sense will go off, and your brain will go, maybe it's time to clean my game. Usually, a lot of glitches will start happening, you'll have lag for no reason, things will just not be correct. This time, I let my game go for like 2 years. So I was experiencing a lot of weird anomalies, like Sims being unable to go home. You tell them to go home and they're like, I don't know where home is. It's the weirdest thing. I've never had that happen. I've had other weird anomalies happen, like clicking on my Sims to switch to characters doesn't happen. They basically lock you out of being able to control your Sims, and they just kind of all wander around like they have free will and you can't control anybody. That's a little bit scary too. So if you start seeing huge lag spikes, things that are happening, glitching that you don't understand, it's probably a good time to clean your game. Another time that you should clean your game is if you're adding anything new to your game, like mods, CC, or store content. The reason you want to add new things to your game when it is in the most pristine, clean form is you're sort of tricking the game into thinking that mods and CC you use are part of the game. From my experience, everything seems to gel or coexist a lot better when you follow my specific steps and techniques. My first secret to my Sims 3 success and large families is to save often and save in a new save file every single time you save. This has led me to have like thousands of save files, to be honest, but the benefits outweigh the costs. If a save file corrupts, you have a backup. You do not know how many Simmers just have to give up games because they have one save file. And when that one save file bloats, corrupts, has problems, you're done. Your family's gone. And that's a tragedy sometimes, because this happens usually when you've played the game for a long time, and when you save over the save file over and over and over and over, you keep adding more and more information to the save file until it gets too big to actually open. And that usually happens when you played for a while and you become attached and you really love your family, and then suddenly one day you wake up and it's not going to open, and nothing you do is going to get that save file to open again. So avoid tragedy, save often, never save over a save file, and always save in a clean, save as save file every time you save, and your families will probably not disappear on you. Before we get into the actual deep cleaning process, I want to drop a disclaimer here. I am not responsible for anything you do to your game and your save files. I am just chronicling my technique. If you don't pay attention, you don't follow the steps, you don't listen, you don't want to watch the video, you just want to gung-ho it, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to do things the wrong way, and I am not responsible for anything you do wrong and mess up your game. Another thing to note, that this process that I'm going to outline in this video will delete all the store content and all the CC from your game. So it might be a good idea before you start the process that you figure out what CC you have in your game, and make sure you can access your Sims 3 store account so you can download all your store content before you start this process. Let's get started on the actual deep cleaning process. So load up your game. Grab a save file. Once the family loads, you need to start cleaning out their inventories. Now, this is very important. If you skip this step and you continue on with the process, you could lose your family. Stuff in inventories is notorious for glitching out save files, for making it impossible to load families, so this is a very important first step. So anything that you don't want, can replace easily, gets sold out of the inventory. Anything that you absolutely have to keep gets put on the lot. Do not, and I repeat, do not buy a World Adventures chest and put stuff in it because it'll be easy. Don't do it. You have no idea how many families I have almost lost because World Adventure chests glitch, break, have some kind of problem with them. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get rid of a chest out of one of my family's lots. It's a mess. Do not buy these chests. Do not use them. Do not take the easy way out. Learn from my mistakes. If you can't drag it from the inventory, it has to stay, but everything else should be placed either on the lot or sold. Next up is the family inventory. There should be nothing in the family inventory when you move on to the next step. Anything you want to keep gets put out on the lot. Everything else should be sold out. Now be very careful when you sell things. I've had games where I click sell all and my game locks up. So you may want to sell things one at a time and at a slow pace to avoid this. Once you have everybody's inventory empty and your household family inventory is empty, next step is to go to Edit Town. Once you are in Edit Town, you want to evict your family from their home. They're going to pop up on the clipboard. You're going to click on the clipboard item and you're going to save a copy to your library of just the family. Once that is saved, then you're going to save a copy of the house to your library. I know there are going to be people out there who want to shortcut this. They're going to be like, hey, you know what? I can save house and family together in one file and skip all of this nonsense. Don't do this. Just don't. The reason you separate them is if one has a problem, you can still use the other. So say your family is completely fine, but something you've taken out of your inventory and put on your lot is broken, busted. You can still play that family. You can buy them a new house. If you save them together, you're gonna have problems. If one of them is glitched or broken or there's something corrupted, you've lost your family and your house. You're gonna have to repeat this process for every single family you have. Yes, it's tedious. Yes, it's boring. You're gonna be sitting there going, I don't wanna do this anymore. I'm just gonna fast track this. I'm not gonna bother. The save file will work. Everything will be sunshine and roses. Don't fall into that trap. If you have never done this before, if you've been playing for a long time, your save files can corrupt in an instant. You're not gonna want the heartbreak. You're not gonna want the headache of broken save files. You're not gonna want the regret of I should have listened. Just do it now. It becomes easier later because the families that you don't play as often, you will already have backed up. And the next time you need to do this, it'll go much quicker. But I highly recommend for anybody who has played for a long time, has really old save files, that you try to do this for every family that you have. Now that we have all of our families safe in our library, let's move on to the next process, which is going into our documents folder and sorting through the things that we need to keep and what will be deleted. On Windows 10, it's very easy to find your documents folder. Basically, anytime you go into your hard drive, it's there on the side panel. If it's not, you can search for your documents folder or your screenshot folder or your saves folder, and you will be able to find the folder you're looking for. Once we're here, you head into your Sims 3 folder, and we have a lot of work to do in this folder, but before we do any of that, there are some really important folders that you need to pull. I highly suggest that you pull and place them on your desktop, so that they are easy to find when you need to put them back. If you're paranoid like I am, I put them in a folder on my desktop and I date the folder so I know that these files are the newest, and I always keep backups as well in case anything happens. The important folders to pull are downloads, library, mods if you have them, saved outfits, saved sims, saves, and screenshots. Now that we have those folders in a safe place, the next step is to remove your Sims 3 folder. So you go back to your Electronic Arts folder and just pull your Sims 3 folder to the desktop. The next step is to launch your Sims 3 game, but do not go past the launcher. When the launcher shows up, close out of it and don't start your game. This is very important. What we've done essentially is taken the old, bloated, broken Sims 3 folder and replaced it with a brand new, fresh, clean folder. Now, the reason you don't go beyond the launcher is the game will start then injecting information into these new files. You want your brand new, pristine files to stay as clean as possible until you are actually finished with the process, so nothing gets messed up. The next step is to add any expansions or stuff packs that you have purchased but haven't put in the game yet. Yes, you should do this every time you make changes to your game. So if you buy a new stuff pack or buy a new expansion, you should definitely clean your game, get it back to its clean version, and then add new things in. You never want to dump new stuff into your game willy-nilly. I know people who just grab mods and throw them into their game, come what may. You don't want to do that. You want to prep your game, get it down to its cleanest version, and then add new things. The next step is to add store content to your game. Now, by pulling your Sims 3 folder, you have essentially wiped all of your store content. Yes, I have a lot of store content. It sucks having to download it all. Please make it easy on yourself. Download it all and then store it somewhere on your hard drive. The amount of people that don't think of this and just download all their store content every time they need to is astounding. So do yourself a favor, download it all, put it in a folder somewhere safe, and every time you clean your game, you can just pop it in and go. Now that all the store content is installed, the next step is mods, and I highly recommend that you go and get clean copies of your mods, especially if you've had them for a while. I've had weird instances of mods just breaking, not working correctly, and I haven't changed anything. Like, the game version hasn't changed, the mod version hasn't changed, but for some inexplicable reason, my mod broke. So it's a good idea to go and get fresh ones to avoid any problems. Now that our mods are in, the next step is any custom content that you have. I don't play with custom content, no judgment if you do. My game starts acting in weird ways whenever I add it, so I just choose to play without it. But now's the time that you add your custom content back into the game. The final step is a little bit of cleanup. When you reset your Sims 3 folder, it populates some folders with a bunch of garbage that you don't need. So we're gonna go through and delete some of that because that just basically bloats your game and steals your storage on your hard drive. The first folder you want to take a look at is DC Backup. Now, if you save things to the Exchange, don't touch this folder. If you could care less about the Exchange, then you want to delete everything except CC Merged. It's a CC Merged.package. Do not delete this. This will destroy your game if you delete that file. All the other files that populate in this folder are basically backup files for items that you have in your game. And they basically just steal storage space on your hard drive. That's all they really do. They're backups, so when you send things to the Exchange, they can have the correct tags of what items your builds have in them. If you never save anything to the Exchange, you never need the items besides CC Merged in this folder. The next folder we need to take a look at is the downloads folder. Now, leave the bin file and the tracking file alone. Those are for the game. Anything else in here, you need to get out of this folder. I know a lot of people like to save their store content here or their CC here. The problem is it makes your launcher load incredibly slow because it has to load all these items every time you start your game. So it's a good idea to put your backups, if you have them, elsewhere. If you have files in this folder that you don't need anymore, then delete them. The next folder is probably the most useless and most annoying folder here. It's the featured items folder. Basically, anytime the game gives you advertisements for store content, it stores a little tiny picture in this folder, and this folder can get quite big if you play for a long time. You're gonna wanna empty out the featured items folder periodically because it'll start slowing down your game if you have a lot in here. My last little tip for you guys is the wonderful article by the Sims Wiki on how to slightly clean your game. It's not to this extent. There are just some files that get really super bloated, and the guide is a game changer if you need a tiny cleaning in between the massive cleaning that we have detailed today. I highly recommend you take a look at it and maybe bookmark it for future reference. And that's it. You've successfully made it through your first cleaning. It's a long, tedious process, but so worth it in the end. Don't forget to come back for my next video where we dive into the world of modding and what mods can do for your game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.